Hi, guys.
At least I saved the weird noises for before the podcast. Jeez.
I had to keep it interesting. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast. How are you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
I wasn't asking you,
Oh,
I was asking our audience.
oh. Guess I'll
How,
just shut the fuck up then.
okay. How are you doing today, babe?
Bored. I've just been bored all day.
I'm very tired.
What? How? You've
I
slept like all
don't,
day.
I don't know. I think it's the weather that's making me so drowsy. We
Yeah,
had such great weather the past few days, and then now it's back to rainy, depressing sadness.
yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten to see the weather like much at all today, honestly, because I just spend my whole day inside staring at a computer screen. But yeah, my drowsiness or my lack of energy is just due to like work just being so boring. It just took the energy from me. It's a good place to be though. Not like kind of sounds like I hate being at work. I don't hate being at work. It's just, today was just one of
It's
those
slow
days.
paced.
Well, it was slow paced for me. For people, doing the actual physical labor out in the bay, you know, they were doing stuff, but in support, I've been saying this in our videos and I think maybe even in the last podcast that my job is to just give them the tools that they can go work. So I'm literally just signing stuff in and signing stuff out and then reading. So, yeah. I'm not much of a reader. I don't like to sit there all day. So that's just kind of draining for me. At some point I might consider actually trying to like request to leave support, especially now that I found out
They're gonna
that
have nobody.
well, they better figure it out because honestly, like I don't know. It's only been what, barely a month, I guess. But like in this past month, trying to do support things, it's just not. It's just not who I am. It's what I was telling you the other day when we were in the car. It's the specific reason that I gave my recruiter when I went to go join the Air Force was I don't want to be at a desk job because I feel like I will die of boredom and want to blow my brains out. Obviously not literally, but it's just not for me. Sitting there all day is just not for me. So I told them like, jobs like finance where all they do is sit back there, stare at computers. Even though intelligence jobs can get you paid when you get out of the military, I don't really like
It's
staring
a
at
lot of
computers.
sitting in computers.
Yeah, just desk jobs and like some of those services, those personnel jobs that you just sit there and like, no, it's not for me. I Although I had bad leadership in Alaska and it wasn't like the best group of people, I would say as of right now, I definitely had more fun there because I actually did stuff. But I don't know. I don't want to complain too much about work. I have good leadership now, and that's honestly the best thing I can ask for as far as what I do every day. I mean, I'm not going to put it all on work for just being boring. I could do more, in all honesty. So, it's just on me to, I guess, pick up on those extra little things, especially now that my supervisor is leaving and the shop chief is leaving. So there's just going to be things to pick up on, which
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to make the effort to do. So I'll be fine. Today was just one of those days, honestly.
Quick disclaimer for those watching our YouTube video. Don't look at his hair.
No, do look at my hair. Look, get a good look on the right
If you
side,
didn't watch our
on the left side.
last video that came out yesterday, if you're watching the day that the podcast came out, I cut his hair.
Yes, you did.
It was just a fun YouTube video, and he's trying to save some money from not going to a actual barbershop.
Yeah,
So he trusted me to cut his hair.
yeah.
It would have came out a lot better if we had the proper clippers, but we bought some weird clipper that was like had a dial. It didn't exactly have like the removable guards, and the guard that they did come with wasn't like an actual guard. It was weird.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the video. It was just some like piece of shit, like 35 bucks at the BX. We didn't look for some, complicated full on barber set. We just went and bought some shit.
Yeah, because we weren't sure how this was going to come out, and we didn't want to spend too much money on like some professional clippers that I was recommended. We just wanted to see how this went.
Yeah.
But I
And to
mean,
to be fair, I said it last night when you did it. I'll say it again now. Given the circumstances and the shit equipment, I think it turned out as this is the best case scenario.
yeah,
This
it's
was
not bad.
absolutely
It
the
was
best case
just
scenario.
I couldn't blend anything like with the actual clippers because the the clippers just didn't allow me to blend. Like it wasn't doing anything. So I had to just go in like with the blade itself, like no guard on or anything, and just like blend it myself.
Yeah, some like manual blending on the left side. It definitely turned out a bit better. On the right side, I mean, it was the first time. It wasn't going to be good whether you had a professional set or not.
Yeah.
So
I've never I've never even done any of that in
yeah,
my
we
life.
watched a couple YouTube videos before, and then even during the haircut, she had to like refer back to the video. But like, I don't know, considering the shit equipment, considering it was her first time, this was the best case scenario. I told when I went into work today, Sergeant Pierce, she was like, "Oh, is that the haircut? Did you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, she did it. What do you think?" She's like, "Honestly, I love it. It's it's the best that could have happened because at least I didn't come into work this morning with a shaved head."
Yeah.
It could have gone that
You
direction.
could have ended up
Things
in
could
there
have turned
bald.
out so bad that we just had to take it all off. And I remember actually when I first got to Alaska, my shop chief at the time, um, he had just put on master sergeant, and he got a haircut that morning by his wife to then
That's tough.
come into work, um, and be presented the thing by the commander, the little certificate, to be officially ranked up. Um, he came into work bald, and he actually before the haircut, he had like the nice little undercut with the side swept hair. Like he had nice hair, and then he came in bald the next day, and we were all like, "What the fuck? Like, what happened?" And he was like, "Well, the the wife fucked it up, so he did what he had to do." Because it was either that or show up with a shit haircut to your rank up ceremony, which shouldn't do that. So yeah, he just took it all off. So it could have gone that way, but luckily, I'm not embarrassed to be walking around. I can honestly rock this for the next couple weeks and really not give a shit. Um, so yeah, kudos to you, given the circumstances. I honestly think that you might have to be my personal barber from now on. We're gonna have to get like a
I need
little,
some real shit.
yeah, real stuff, but more than that, not use our shower towels because that
Yeah,
was
we
kind of
just
gross.
we just weren't prepared at all. There was
No, not at
hair
all.
everywhere. We used our shower towels as like the little curtain blank. What I don't even know what it is or what it's
The
called.
drape, I don't know.
The drape that they put on you when you go get your hair cut.
Yeah.
We were using towels and our shower towels
Yeah,
that
we
we
only have those
use.
two towels, so it was me sitting on her towel to not get hair all over the chair, and then wrapping my towel around my shoulders. And then
And there was just
I think
hair everywhere.
next time, if we don't, because we could either do it right there in the middle of the bathroom where we did it, or try to set it up like in the shower. That way, hair just falls on the ground and you just,
We're gonna clog up the shower more than
well,
it already is.
yeah, your hairs are. We've only been here, what, like today's 2 weeks, right?
Today's Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, today's exactly 2 weeks, and we've already fucked up the shower
You
with
just
your
you
hairs.
just gotta pull a little bit of hair out. It's all good.
Yeah, no, we gotta get the picker
The
upper
snake.
thing, the picker upper for the broom,
Oh,
the little pan,
the yes. Yeah, we just
and we'll
have the
be straight.
broom only because that was what was provided. when we got into the house.
Yeah.
There was just a single broom inside one of the closets, but they don't have the dustpan.
Dustpan.
So I was sweeping up the hair yesterday in the bathroom and was like picking it up with Clorox wipes because I
Yeah.
didn't have a dustpan and I wasn't gonna let hair just sit in our bathroom for
Yeah.
God knows how long.
I wish the camera didn't die because recording you trying to rinse off my hair in the shower, that was hilarious. I was like getting fucking waterboarded by the
We
water
were
because
at a
like
weird angle. It was
I'm
hard
yeah.
to do
I
anything.
was just I wasn't in the shower. Like I was standing outside of it and then kind of leaned forward and had my head just kind of leaning over the shower floor and she was just like no I was leaning down, but she was pouring it from, behind my head. And then the water just kept like coming down my neck and like into my nose and my mouth. And I was just dying. It was hilarious. I wish we would have recorded that.
Yeah, that was a mess.
Yeah.
Water and hair all over the place.
Yeah, no, that was bad. But the haircut turned out good. And
We learned. Now we know what to do next time.
yeah,
And we just need to get proper tools.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, this will save me a good amount of money. So, and, it's something for you to do here at home because it's like, you don't do much else anyway. You may as well pick up a skill while you're here at home.
Learn how to cut hair.
Yeah, do TikTok, YouTube,
I might trim my hair.
hairstylist. And yeah, that's another thing.
I'm
You
definitely not gonna
you don't
cut it
trust
because I don't trust
you
myself
keep
with
saying
that.
that you don't want to cut your hair the entire time we're here in Italy. I don't know about the entire time, but you're claiming that you don't want to get your hair cut by anybody
I
other than the
don't, and I
lady
still,
back
even if
home.
I do it by myself, I still wouldn't give myself the haircut that I'd want. I would just give myself a trim so my ends aren't looking raggedy.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's a skill to pick up. It's something else to have. And then when we get to having kids, it'll just be easier. Save more money then.
Oh
Hit up our son with a nice little zzz.
my.
Yeah, he'll love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have a lot more hobbies if we had or just more things to do if we have all of our stuff. Like we're
Yeah.
still just rocking with our bed, and that's about it. We don't have any of our furniture here yet.
Yeah.
Within the next month or so, but as
I
of right now,
estimate probably like beginning of April, maybe middle of April. Um, we'll see. I haven't actually tracked that. I was supposed to do that today. Fuck. Go on the DPS website. I forgot. But as soon as you remember this morning, I sent you the screenshot. As soon as I got
yeah,
to work, we got notification, or I didn't get notification. I
Optimus
tried
Prime
to
is on its way.
Optimus past its prime.
No, stop bullying him.
Her car will be here hopefully soon. Generally, people say that it takes about a week or two for vehicles to get from Germany to here because now her car's in Germany. I think it must have just got there either like yesterday or like barely this morning, or maybe the app just glitched out because the first time I went on it, it still was showing that it was in the ocean. But then I closed it because I'm like, no, there's no way it's been this long. And then opened it again and said it's in the Germany Bremerhaven, whatever.
Yeah, it was some weird name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Raven Haven Hort something. It
But
sounded like Harry Potter.
I don't think no.
This it sounded like one of the worlds or something. I don't know.
Worlds. Harry Potter doesn't have worlds.
Or
That's on
what is it?
Earth.
Series? I don't know. It sounded very Harry
No,
Potter-ish.
you need to stop trying to act like a nerd. It's not working for you.
They said it sounded like it.
Yeah. So normally it takes about 2 weeks, but then what also could happen for it to take longer is that they like to clump up multiple shipments into one to make it more efficient and shit. So the car could be delayed by that. There's a lot of things that could happen, but our ticket says required delivery date the 27th of March. So
Yeah.
exactly, what is that? 21 days from now?
Yes.
Because today's the 6th. Yeah. So we should have it in the next 3 weeks by the end of March. So that'll be good. And then the household goods will come along and we'll finally be able to settle in, start measuring up the house, get our furniture and hopefully be looking good by summer.
Yeah. So today I kind of wanted to focus on a more specific topic,
Yeah.
something that we get very passionate about and we can talk for a bit. We
It's,
always, especially him,
yeah, I
we
get
always touch on the topic every now and then, at least more in the videos that we used to make when we first started doing YouTube, when we were doing like all of those gaming, not gaming, but like the challenges, um, those kinds of videos. Anytime a question would come up about like relationships or like certain advice for certain things, that would
yeah.
have us sitting there for a bit and talking for a
Yeah.
little too long.
And it,
So I was excited to bring that to a podcast.
it was always so frustrating for me editing those videos because I'm just like we were supposed to have like because I always had like 10 questions and then we'd get stuck on like two questions that take
Those
up the
games,
entirety of the
yeah.
video. And then it's like one fun question, then we ask this other question. That's like another 5 minutes of the video. And then a couple more fun questions, and then we ask this other question, which then just turns out to be a 12-minute segment of the video. And oh god, it was so
Yeah.
frustrating.
We talk for quite a
We
bit
never
when it comes to this.
That's why we started or yeah, that's why we started the podcast because now we can talk about it with a little more time and not have to worry about a shorter format video.
Yeah. So for those who don't really keep up with our YouTube videos or are only listening to our podcast, I came out of a very, very toxic relationship before meeting Felipe and getting married. And I was in a weird state of mind. I just knew
You
nothing
phrased that
else.
wrong.
What?
You didn't get out of a relationship before meeting me. You met me a long time ago.
Well, yeah, I met you a long time ago, but before we started dating and everything, I was in a toxic relationship.
Yes, that did happen, but we met long before. Just
Yes.
wanted to clear that up.
I'm talking about specific things. Officially dating.
Yes, that's fine. But we met because you
Yes,
said met.
yes.
I just
My
want to make sure we're
goodness.
clear on that part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've known each other since we were 12. There.
Yes.
Anyways, um yeah, I was just in a really bad relationship and I don't think a lot of people really saw or noticed and he's really the only one who ever dealt with it because I mean, we were best friends throughout the majority of that relationship and he just heard every single situation that was going on
Yep.
anytime that I was just being
I
stupid.
played the classic boy best friend role. She would come crying to me when everything went wrong, and boy, was I there.
Yeah.
Come to me, baby.
Yeah. It was a little too often, but yeah, he was always there, so he's dealt with all my BS since the very beginning, but a lot of stupid things were happening in that relationship that just didn't need to happen and weren't healthy in the slightest. So that's something that he doesn't put up with at all. So that's what kind of made our relationship interesting in the beginning because we were on two different sides of how a relationship is and
Yeah.
how it should be. And it took a bit to adjust to, but I mean, we're here, we're healthy, we know how to do things right, but it was tough in the beginning. Did you ever think that, like, or what exactly was your thought process before us officially dating, knowing that, like, I was in the relationship that I was in? Like, were you prepared to go into something?
No.
Oh,
Not in the slightest. So this is actually hilarious. Before we started dating and we were still in the best friend stage, um, I remember multiple people from friends, Hennessy's actually, my older sister, a lot of people, because I always talked about you, so everybody knew. I'm like,
yeah.
yo, this is my girl. It's gonna happen. Just like I'm playing the long game, all right? But a lot of them asked me, like, don't you think the dynamic is gonna be different? Hennessy's was the first one to ask me that. She's like, don't you think about how maybe it might be different when you guys actually start dating from best friends? I'm like, I was so naive because obviously I'd never been in a relationship before you, so I wasn't, I guess, privy to the challenges and the things that the extra things that come with a relationship. So I'm like, no, 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 we're best friends. Everything's gonna be fine. It's gonna be exactly the way it is now. Just I get to kiss her and do all these other things instead of somebody else. So we're we're good. No, not at all. I mean, yes, we're best friends and like that still carries on to this day. We're still able to talk about whatever and do whatever, but like there is a lot more that goes into it than I realized.
Even after like seeing how stupid I was with all the talks I was given by you whenever I would come to you for something.
Well, because that's another thing I was naive about before we started dating. I'm like, oh, I've given her so much advice and like helped her through so many things these last few years.
You thought I would
You
have
would
learned.
think that by the time we get to dating, she'd be like, all right, let's hit the reset button, remember everything he said, and then carry on. Not at
Yeah,
all.
no.
Not at all.
That's
It's
not
like
what
you never
happened.
heard a word I said. And so I had to do all of that over again for the next like year and a half until we got married.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was super duper super frustrating. I was not prepared for it whatsoever. And I've said it um multiple times over the last what, we're coming up on 3.5 years. Um I would do a lot of things different for sure. A lot of things. Because I was very
It was very
most
lenient.
yeah, most
I got away with a little
um
too
what
much.
am I even trying to say? Number one above everything. Very, very lenient. Way too lenient. I let you get away with too much. I even when I was being firm, I was still like letting shit slide because at some point, honestly, it's not even that I didn't care. Or no. Actually, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It got to a point that you just kept doing things over and over where I was just like, all right, I can't be bothered. I'm gonna just move on to the next thing. And like, if you don't get with the program, then that's on you because if you keep doing this wrong, you're gonna keep getting shit on. So honestly, your fault. Whatever. If you want me to keep shitting on you, I'll shit on you. Not like actual shit, but
Well, duh. Did it ever get to a point where like you ever thought like if it keeps going this way,
yes,
then yeah, okay.
I know what the question. Yes, I thought it wasn't gonna work out multiple times because you were on this side of the spectrum and I was over here. Because I mean, I can't sit there and say that I was right all along because obviously I didn't know everything. This is my first relationship, but I do have a good I have a good idea of what's like right and wrong.
Yeah.
But I can't just put my brain inside of your head and then everything be okay. Like you have to make the steps to learn and grow on your own. So you tested my patience on a level I'd never been tested before. And I'm a very patient person. Like I won't be rattled by too many things. I don't really, I've never liked drama in my own life. So when things start to arise, I don't get like super crazy off the bat. I'm just like I'm gonna keep a cool, calm, see where it goes. But with you, I started off that way, but then when it got to shit just repeating itself for the 10th, 20th, and 50th time, I couldn't be bothered. I was just like, let me see. Probably closer to around that time when we got like engaged and leading up to us getting married. There was a few good moments there where I was like, this just is not happening. Like I don't think this is gonna happen.
Yeah, it was a little rough. I think like those 2 months prior.
Very
Um
rough. Very.
yeah, things definitely weren't in a spot where you should be getting married.
No, not at all.
But
But I don't know what it was. I wouldn't want to call myself naive because now we're fine and like everything's good. We're on the same page. We're able to communicate a lot better because obviously we're not long distance anymore. So it's like
yeah, that's
that was
That's
a big,
definitely a big factor
yeah, that
for
was a big factor
majority
of our
of it.
problems. I was just like, I was just trying to put as much faith in you, in I guess God. Like I was praying every day, like no shit, praying every day. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna carry on with this, but like, please help, please help. Yeah, no, I was very, very, very scared, and I remember when we were at, I don't want to call it the altar because that wasn't much of an altar at the
We were at the
courthouse.
courthouse.
Yeah, when we were at the courthouse and you were like, "You sure you want this?" I was like, "Yes." Like I felt like I had to convince myself, but like I was also so confident because I'm like, there's no way we've done all this work and gone through all this shit just for it not to work out. So I was confident, but then at the same time, we've been through so much where I'm just like, oh fuck. But you know what? I'm sitting here today, and I wouldn't change a thing.
I remember within like that, I think first month before you were about to come down, we had,
To get married.
yeah,
Oh.
or go to Florida, not come over here. Um, we had a conversation and you kind of just told me like we need to get this shit figured out or it's not happening.
Mm,
It had to do with like certain things that were happening at that time, but we did
like
have
what
a we
things?
did have a
Because
talk.
we had honestly a lot of those conversations where I had to like, I don't know. This honestly sounds kind of toxic. Like if you don't get your shit straight, fuck you. I'm out.
No, I don't mean it like that because obviously knowing how, if you know how he is, he's not that kind of person to be like you need to get your shit together or else this isn't happening. It was more of a, it was a just a conversation I think that was happening during a rough week or whatever, and we just kind of put it out there like if things just keep going the way that they are, like this can't happen.
Yeah, but again, I feel like I had to say that line so much, especially leading up to getting married, which this makes it sound like we should not have gotten married whatsoever, like the way we're talking about it right now. But
Well,
I don't know. It's
this is why I like talking about it because yes, you look at our relationship and it definitely, not to like toot our own horn or anything, but we're not like other couples at all, like especially at our age and just how like we are in life compared to other people our age and our friends in life. Like we've
wait, wait.
gone through a lot. We were a lot more mature in like certain aspects of things. So where was I going with that? What were we just talking
Oh my
about?
god.
Oh no, the marriage thing podcast, whatever. Sorry, I just completely lost my train of thought with that. Um, that's why I want to like come on here and talk about our experiences because to outsiders and like our family, everybody always saw us as like, oh, they're so cute, they're best friends, like they're perfect, and we are. Like at this point in our relationship or in our marriage, like we are at a good point where we do know how to handle things. And
Way to toot your own horn.
what? I said our horn. I didn't say mine. I said ours.
No, I know.
Well, that's what I'm just trying to say. Like, yes, we're definitely not like the average couple, average married people, but we did go through a bit in the very beginning that a lot of people don't know about. Especially, I think some family or just people closer to us because they're the ones who really only ever see the way that we are with each other or saw what it looked like to them of our relationship.
What do you mean? I kind of just got lost there.
Oh my Jesus Christ. We're going to get nowhere. I'm just saying, like, we went through a lot, but to outsiders, everybody would always say, like, oh, you guys are just
Oh well,
so
yeah.
perfect. You guys
No,
are best friends. Like,
even right.
yes, we are. I know we've gone through a lot and we're at a good spot, but we did have rough patches. It wasn't easy with like that
Yeah.
first year and a half
Even now,
was
sometimes
rough.
I get messages from random people, just like, oh, you guys are so cute, perfect, and whatever. I'm
Like,
like,
I know we are.
thanks. Nah,
At this
we're definitely
point,
not perfect,
no, we're not
but
perfect,
you know,
perfect.
we're
But at this point, we don't really like. We've learned so much because of all the BS that we went through in the
yeah,
very beginning, and I know how crazy that probably sounds, considering like we got together when I was like we were 18, 19. So like you, I mean, we're kids. You would think that we don't really have that much to talk about, or that we shouldn't be in this position to be talking about these kinds of things, but we did go through a lot and we did learn, and at this point like we know how to handle shit.
yeah,
So that's something that I will toot our horns, because we did learn a lot
yeah.
and we are at a really good spot.
That is why I put so much faith into leading up to getting married. That's why I prayed every day, and I was just like, this has to work. Like, there's no way we've done and gone through all this bullshit just for this to not happen. And maybe even more, if not somewhat on the same level, I spent so many years waiting for my chance to be able to, like,
Yeah, you would have just wasted your whole life if this never
yeah, no,
happened.
like when we
That's
met,
not being exaggerated.
yeah, when we met, you were in sixth grade, I was in seventh, and I saw you, and we had this special connection. I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool. Like, I want to see this through. But obviously, at the time, it wasn't the right time, so I hit the cancel button on it momentarily. More like pause, not cancel.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, no, all of high school, I worked as hard as I could to get to a good spot with you. I did a lot of work on myself. I had a lot of patience, and I was just like, this needs to work, because all of high school, and then that time through BMT and Shepherd when I was at tech school, like, I put in so much work with you. There's no way that it was just gonna amount to nothing. Like, I had to at least, like at the very least, we had to date for like a week if I was gonna get anything out of this. Like, I put so much, I needed
Jeez.
to get something out of it. Obviously, the goal was a lot more, but like, I had to have been able to say, like, I did all that for something,
Yeah.
and luckily I did.
I think we should take it to the very beginning of
Oh, is that
transitioning into our relationship,
what do you mean?
just like how things were, me coming out of something
Oh,
so
like when we first
toxic.
started
And
dating? So,
yeah.
like, what initially started this whole thing? Yeah, let's go
Yes.
back to that. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, if we don't get on a good track here with a timeline, we're gonna get very messy and things are gonna end up all
Yeah.
over the place. So let's go back to the very beginning of when we started dating. Um, Obviously, like I said, when we were best friends, he kind of already knew all the BS that I had with my ex at the time, and had an idea of how I kind of went about a relationship, or what I thought should be happening in a relationship, which just like wasn't healthy at
I
all.
Did you just say that I knew?
You had an idea because you saw the way that I was acting and how I wasn't exactly listening to
No,
you.
like I said earlier, I was so naive to all that. I didn't know. I knew nothing. What I knew, or what I thought I knew, was that I've given you all this advice and stuff, so I thought that it would be immediately applicable. Like, you would just immediately, like, be at where I wanted you to be as soon as we started dating. So, quite honestly, I knew all that you'd been through, but I didn't think that you were going to be as damaged and lost as you were. I had
Yeah,
no clue
that's a
whatsoever.
way to put it.
And that's why it was such a challenge, because
Yeah.
I had no clue.
I I came out of that relationship with always
You were evil.
I the yeah, it was so
You,
bad to where like I genuinely enjoyed arguing. like I liked having fun with it. I liked being the mean person and saying all these mean things to hurt your feelings because that's just what my past relationship was. Like we
Yeah.
were assholes to each other and I was name called by my ex. I never threw names out there, but he called me a few names in there in some arguments and it was bad. Like arguing was just our thing. I don't think there was a single day that we didn't argue for
I don't
and
think so either, based off of everything
I
you
was
ever
with
told me.
this guy for 4 years. So that was my whole time in high school that I was just dealing with all this BS every single day. So obviously after 4 years, that's just something that I'm used to. And I don't know anything other than that. I don't know what's healthy. I don't know what's supposed to be happening in a relationship. So
Yeah.
I was just like really bad coming out of that. And I just wasn't like I was brainwashed basically because I
Well,
knew
yeah,
nothing
it
else.
was, yeah, no, that's all you knew. That was like your first, probably like real long term relationship, if you can even call it a relationship. And yeah, no, I mean, if that's all you knew, then that's all you knew, which is honestly like sad. Like,
It
I
was
don't know.
such
It's such a tragic thing to, for that to be the first and only thing you knew. Like, that's fucked up, and I wish nobody to ever experience that.
yeah. I had like two other somewhat serious relationships. Those didn't really end bad. It was what it was. But that relationship with my ex was just something else. It was just on a completely different level. Like it was to a point where I just wasn't allowed to hang out with friends. I wasn't allowed to hang out with my best friend because he was a guy, but I mean, he's gay, so that shouldn't have been a problem. But
Oh,
he was still not okay with that. Like I just wasn't allowed to be around anybody. And a lot of things that happened in my life, whether it was like it was something good, whether it was with school or dance or just any kind of accomplishment that I had in my life, it caused an argument because he was just jealous of the things that I had and the things that I had going on in my life, and that I had such a great friend group and was always doing things and was just, succeeding in other things. And especially when it came to dance, because that's how we met through dance. Um, we were in the same group for a bit or whatever, but the specific dance group that I was in was higher than his because he, wasn't the best.
ass. He was garbage, so bad.
I'm gonna
In my
try
prime, it was like it's like LeBron to freaking,
me.
oh, yeah, you basically. I was LeBron in this scenario, and he was her against LeBron.
Anyways,
I'm superior dancer. I'm
anything
retired though.
like I said, anything that I just like was successful in, or if I was just better at anything, he was just jealous and it would cause an argument. And then he would put it in a situation to where like now I'm trying to make him feel better because he just like he breaks down, he's having this whole breakdown saying all these things about himself, and then I'm in this weird position where like what the hell just happened? Like I what? Like it was just so weird. Like obviously you do something great, something good happens in your day, like you want to go to your significant other, you want to tell them about it, and that person's going to be proud for you. I would go and do that and I would get shit on, or I would be put in a position to where I'm now having to make him feel better because of the great things that are happening in my life and he has nothing going on for him.
Loser.
So I just like I couldn't bring up any good thing that was happening because it would get flipped and now he's having a breakdown because he's so lonely in life, or he would bring up his childhood trauma and talk about, I mean, I'm trying to say as much as I can without putting his business out there, but he would just talk about like he didn't really have much friends younger. So that's just something that he always dealt with. So whenever it came to me hanging out with people or doing anything, that was just like more than what he ever did. So he would always just get butthurt about it. And I would be the one to like feel bad because now he just flipped the whole situation and made it crappy. It was so stupid. I couldn't wear certain things. Oh my god. The list goes on, guys. Like I couldn't do so much, but you I didn't exactly listen a good like 90% of the time. Like he didn't know when I was out, he didn't know who I was hanging out with or if I had friends over at the house because it would cause an argument. And like I know that that's not something that should be happening in a relationship. Like you shouldn't be hiding things from the other person, but I should be able to have a friend over or I should be able to go over to their house or hang out with my best friend, but I couldn't do that because I'm a bad person and it would cause an argument and then I wouldn't get talked to for a week. And his problem was he would get so mad and like wouldn't discuss that with like I could clearly tell that he was mad, but if he wanted to ignore me, he would flat out ignore me for a week. I would get nothing. I wouldn't get like a text before just saying like, "Hey, you pissed me off. I don't want to talk to you." We would be like mid conversation or mid argument. He gets mad, and I literally wouldn't hear from this man for a good like 3 to 5 days. And
Boy.
yeah, I wouldn't hear from this boy child. And I would just have to deal with that constantly. Like, that's just what our relationship was for 4 years.
Yeah.
So the arguing,
I felt
the
like I was in it how much you told me about
con,
everything.
yeah, constantly being controlled and, being manipulated and brainwashed for 4 years, I was not at all in a place to be in like a good relationship after that
No.
because that's all I knew. You're gonna shit on me, I'm gonna argue with you and I'm gonna yell and I'm gonna say these things and I don't care to ignore you because I'm gonna live my life. That's just what I was used to.
Yeah.
So
I remember, I feel like, I don't remember if I told you. I'm pretty sure I did. That I wanted you to have as much time as possible between you guys breaking up
yeah.
and us starting to date because
Yeah, you said that a
although,
few times. You wanted to make sure that I wasn't
yeah, I wanted to make sure that you
rushing
were
it.
good, but then, I mean, you made your choice when the day before I left for Alaska, you said, I'm yours, and then we kind of officially kicked it off thanks to you.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna give
But
no other girl a chance.
I wasn't gonna give any other girl. You know how hard I'd been stuck on you for years. There was
I
no
know,
other
I
girl
know.
with a chance. It it would have been in your
Yeah,
best
but
interest to have
again,
started our
this
relationship
is
later.
this is going
That's what I
going
was trying to
into
think of.
this is going into what I'm used to. I have that toxic
Yeah,
mentality at that time. So all I'm thinking is he's gonna go find somebody else and screw her, and then I'm out of the picture. So in
yeah,
my mind at that time, I'm not saying that like that was the only reason why I wanted to get together. No, I had genuine feelings for you, and that's been very clear for a little bit before that.
very,
But
very clear. You were in denial how
because
clear it was.
that's a story for another time. But during that time, that was obviously the time that I had just broke off my 4 year relationship. So my mentality was I'm gonna trap him. He's mine. I don't want anybody else to have
Trap me. That's
him.
crazy. It's crazy because I feel like that's one of the jokes about military spouses and like significant others is them trapping
Well,
the
yeah, because
military person.
there's the whole stereotype of whether they're out on deployments or in the fields or just working in general that they're around all these other people, and that's just a stereotype. But
Yeah.
honestly, that the whole military thing didn't really cross my mind. It was more of just like you're mine.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody else to touch you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm glad you felt that way.
yeah, but it was rough coming out of that, especially for him.
Yeah. Um Let me see. I don't. I don't. I don't know. My brain is crashing right now because I don't know what to talk about, like where to go. Because there's a lot to talk about as far as the beginning.
Well, that's kind of just me. The beginning wasn't too bad because we were in that honeymoon phase for a bit where it was like, oh, we're finally together. Woohoo.
Yeah, it was that summer where shit started to go wrong. That first summer together, or no? Yeah. No, yeah. Okay, so
Yes, it was.
when you
Mm-hmm.
came to visit me in Alaska for the first time, and then you spent the 2 weeks from July 4th to like whatever 2 weeks from that is. Um,
It was after that when I got home.
it was when you got home that shit just changed. Like literally that day that you arrived back in your room, shit was already different. I don't know what the hell happened with you, but like you just turned into an absolute fucking demon. You woke up from your nap from getting off the plane a totally different person. Like we spent a good those first 6 months in the honeymoon phase, and I'm like, this is great. Everything is fine. And then
That's just any
you
relationship too,
got
though.
home and it was fucked. Like, what the
Yeah,
hell happened?
I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. I think I I honestly don't know.
Like a flip switched inside of you when you got home that it
Yeah,
was
looking
fucked.
back at it, I definitely know that there was a huge change, and that's for like a few months after that. For the rest of the year, really. After that point in the summer when things happened,
Yeah,
that's
for the rest of the next year until we got married, it was just fucked.
yeah. I don't know. I think it was because at that point it's like we were already a few months of being with each other, and that the honeymoon phase just kind of went bye bye.
Yeah, so the
I
honeymoon's
think
okay, so
the
it
problem, I can't specifically say like why it happened directly after me coming back from Alaska, but if I don't know. I don't want to say that it was because like the whole honeymoon phase was over, but at the same time I want to say it's that because
okay, but
we had a great few months. So I was just in like such a bubbly headspace, like, oh, we're finally together, woohoo, so fun. This is happening, it's great. And then now I'm back to my toxic mentality because
like
we
how
that
did you
didn't
just
really
wake
happen.
up and be like, "All right, time to fuck this guy up?"
I don't know. I honestly I couldn't tell you like
Yeah,
specifically
I was
how that happened or why, but I do like looking back at it, I can say that I know the second that I got home, things just changed. Things were completely different.
yeah, no. That's where shit really started to hit the fan. It was like it was literally one thing after another, like week after week. And I identified this cycle that she tends to go on, not the period. Um, like 6 months after, so from like, what was it, July to that Christmas, those first 6 months, things just kept happening and happening. And I'm observing and analyzing, and I'm like, yo, we're just in a repetitive cycle, like once every week, once every 2 weeks.
I think it was every week, honestly. Or
Sometimes
at some point, it was like every
sometimes
3 days.
yeah, sometimes it was every few days, then it was like every week, then we could go like one good week and then just back to shit. But yeah, there was like consecutive days and weeks where it was just like one thing after another. But it was like we get into argument over something stupid, and most of the time it wasn't even anything actually like nothing happened. It's just like I said earlier, the fact that now we're actually together, we're able to communicate a lot better as opposed to long distance. You're texting, you're phone calling a lot. There's not a lot you can do as far as communicating body language and tone of voice. So
Yeah, you're just
a
seeing
lot of the
everything
time you're
through the
just like
phone.
guesstimating what's happening, and if you just interpret it the wrong way, it's fucked. It's done. Because now you can't convince me or I can't convince you of what I meant or what I was trying to say. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So Yeah, no, it was just like stupid miscommunications that just blew up into a fiery hellhole. And it was just, again, days back to back to back, weeks back to back, maybe one good day in between. Like, oh God, it was so tiring. I didn't know what to do. And then, yeah, the cycle that I identified that I ended up telling you about once I made my giant discovery, I was like, when we argue, we literally go anywhere from like 3 to 5 days, no talking, the way that she would in her previous relationship. And then that first day, it was like maybe one small, quick text conversation.
Yeah.
And then the next day was like, we're both kind of like, all right, this is fucking stupid. Can we please talk again? But then there was still like tension. It wasn't pleasant conversation or time spent together, like on FaceTime or whatever. And then by that third day, we were mostly fine. Sometimes we'd be perfectly fine. Sometimes we would need that fourth day to just like be good. But then, within the next few days, it was something else.
Yeah.
And um
I will say that the very beginning, or not the very beginning, but when this whole weird period of things started, for me, I think it was more, it was, it was really my trust issues.
well, yeah, no, that's actually what I was about to get into. How most of the time it was just this just unbelievable out of nowhere um conviction that you had with no proof whatsoever that I had to be cheating or something was
Oh
happening
yeah, I was sure of
just
it for at least a year.
just because a year. Holy fuck. So like that whole first year.
Yeah, or that whole period that things were like weird. So yeah, I guess it was the year.
When you
In the very beginning, I was like, that's where it was really bad, and then I kind of like started getting away from it towards like
like when
the
we first
end.
started dating? Or no, you mean
No,
from when
from
shit
when things
started going
started.
wrong?
Yeah,
So you're saying for that whole year of when you got back to Alaska from or to when we got married, you were just like this guy's cheating
I wouldn't. I
leading
would.
up to a marriage.
Well,
And you
no, no, not
willingly
that whole year, not up to the marriage, just like that first from the summer to that end of like towards December, because that's when
Oh, so
like
those
things
six
are.
months.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, because yeah, that's what I was about to get into. That yeah, no, you literally just were constantly making wild ass accusations, delusional, delusional. It was unfucking believable. One day, it was um, it was towards winter, right before I was going home for the holidays, that Lennon was getting married.
Yeah.
Lennon was getting married down the hall in the dorms. Now, why was he getting married down the hall?
That's
He and
that's
his
a
wife,
different.
they wanted to have a cost effective alternative to the marriage thing, so they decided to have an on-site notary come to his dorm room kitchen. And
We love you
I was
guys.
there. No, we love you guys. D Lennon, honestly, love you, miss you. But that was fucking hilarious and just like bottom of the barrel wedding I've ever seen or heard of in my life. Um,
Anyways, that's not the point
yeah,
here.
no, the notary never showed up, so they didn't even get married that day.
Yeah.
But we're sitting there in the kitchen, and then she's like texting me, calling me. She's like, "Yo," she was just on timing, demon time. Like she was convinced that because I was down the hall and in another room, I was in another girl's room.
Because to be fair, there was this specific person that I never really liked that he used to work with who was in that same hall. So I have his location.
And you know what's crazy is that she actually lived the room directly across.
Yeah, that was great to find out at the time. But at that time, I didn't know where she was. I just knew that she was in the same building. And I, like he said, like he had quite a bit of messages and calls because he just wasn't responding to anything. And I have his location. And all I see is that his location is in a different room. So I'm like, ah, I'm right. It's
Just
that freaking
got his
girl.
ass. Got his ass.
So I'm just like, anytime that I would really just see his location in a different part of the building, I was convinced that that's exactly where he was.
So stupid. I pick up the phone. Where are you? I'm with Lennon. I told you he's getting married today. Who's there? Lennon, D, Carrie. Who was Misa's? I think Misa was there. Yeah, Misa was there. Gignard wasn't there yet, but he was supposed to be there eventually. Is so and so there? Are you fucking what? We don't even hang out with her unless it's at work. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, she's not there. Like, oh god, she was convinced. She was convinced. And this whole time, I'm like, immediately, because again, I'm a patient person, but immediately, the fact that I'm being accused of cheating or being with another girl, I was heated so fast. I've never been more pissed off much faster in my life. Because, like, knowing the kind of guy I am, I'm so against infidelity and just any kind of all that shit that, and you know who I am as your boyfriend at the time. So, what the fuck are we even talking about right now? Like, so I leave Lennon's kitchen. I'm out in the hallway, and then I just start like I'm like laughing, arguing back to my room. I'm like, if you think that this is, if, or what was I saying? If you think that's the kind of shit I would do, like you don't know me at all. Like I was, oof, no, I was honestly ready to just fuck you off right then and there. It was like I don't have time for
So
this.
was I.
I bet you were, but I had a more legitimate reason to.
Yeah.
Because screw you entirely for like doing that. But
That happened a few times.
no, yeah, it was a
Different
few times.
different situations for throughout that period of
Yeah, no,
time.
you were just on demon time. I don't even know, like delusional. You were just making shit up. Oh my god. Is my hand seriously cramping right now? I just felt it in my finger. What the fuck?
We got new mics, guys.
Yeah,
So
we got
now
these
we're
nice little
in
sticks.
we're in a position of just holding it the whole time.
Yeah. And no, you were delusional. All your problems just started coming out,
Yeah.
and then that's when I was like, "Fuck!" Like shit. Like,
Now you see.
why did this not come out in the first 6 months?
Yeah.
Like, if that had come out a lot sooner, I don't know, man. I think the fact that we were that much time in 6, 7, 8, 9 months, getting close to a year. At that point, I was so committed to just like making it work that I was just like, I'm gonna dive headfirst into this, and like whatever happens, happens. But if it had happened in like the first 6 months, I think things could have turned out a lot differently for you.
Yeah, probably. But even if things did happen, I think I would have easily just brushed it off. Because again, at that point, I'm like, when shit goes down, I'm so like ready to just okay,
Yeah,
on to the
no,
next.
it was. That's actually what's funny about it because you and I would have been on like opposite kind of time or timing, I guess, that in those first like 6 months, had all this shit happened then, I would have been perfectly fine. Just like, yeah, I put all this time and years into making this relationship like finally come into fruition. But if it didn't work out, like, yeah, I loved you, but we're only a few months in. I'm gonna recover.
Yeah.
You probably would have been a lot more heartbroken because it's just like, I don't know. You had very strong feelings for me that you finally admitted, and now we're finally dating. You probably would have been a bit more heartbroken, maybe. I don't know how right I am about that. That's the way I think.
Mm, for a bit, maybe, but just to put into perspective, I wasn't heartbroken a single bit after 4 years of a relationship. So a few months of whatever
Yeah,
we had going on, yes, I would have been heartbroken probably for like that first week. But because I
honestly,
still
no,
wasn't,
it would have been a lot worse for you because you would have then, in the span of a few months lost two people, you would have been fucked because you remember that one day where
Well, I wouldn't have cared about losing the last one because I've never been broken up with. I've always broken up with people.
yeah, but I still remember specifically that one day in like the first couple weeks that we started dating, he had like posted something and you were just absolutely distraught. Like I hung up the phone and then your mom had to
Well,
comfort
yeah,
you and stuff.
because that was like a little fresh after us breaking up. So
Yeah.
then finally saying that the other person moved on, as much as I wasn't really like in that relationship anymore, like mentally, I was so checked out by that point. When you see that kind of stuff, it's like, ouch.
Yeah, exactly. And you were
So,
way moved on. If like you both moved on, but you were very clearly affected. So I think the fact that you lost that or you broke up with him and then you lost me in the span of I don't know, we'll say what, 2 months, just a random number. I think you would have really been going through it. But you probably wouldn't have shown it very externally, but you would have been like fucked up on the inside.
yeah, I guess. Maybe.
I really think so. Because just seeing how you reacted that one day when you saw that one post from him with another girl, like, I easily can see you being fucked up badly.
If I saw that of you, oh, I would have wanted to off myself. That would have been it for me. Losing you would have been like, yeah, it hurts, but I was never really the type to like sit there and really cry about things. Like it is what it is. I'm gonna move on and do my life and just be stupid. But if I saw a post like that with you, oh my god, things would have been so bad.
Yeah. Well, I can guarantee that wouldn't have happened, but I guess just using the example
Cause
back to back that happening, that would have been fucked up.
yeah,
But
well,
yeah, no, I think it would have been opposites. So in the first few months, I'd have been perfectly fine. You probably would have been fucked up because that was two relationships then in the span of a couple months. And then on the flip side, if we do those last 6 months of the first year, I would have been distraught because I'm like I'm finally in my first relationship. I'm so close to a year. We've spent all this time together. I've worked so hard and now it's not working and like I would have been so fucked. And especially for the reasons that we probably would have broken up for at the time, which is you accusing me of cheating. You know what? When I think about it like that, I wouldn't have been heartbroken at all. Because you accusing me of cheating when I did literally nothing ever, honestly, I would have been like, she's fucking stupid. I'm moving on. Now, you know what? I take everything back. If it was for that specifically, which it probably would have been, I'd have been perfectly fine in any scenario. And obviously, you would have been too if you thought I was cheating on you.
yeah. At
But
that point, I was there was already a thing in my head of like, well, if he's cheating, I'm gonna go party. Bye. Like I was
yeah,
already ready to screw it and just move on.
yeah. But if it was like more of a regular scenario, like things for some reason just
Didn't work.
it just it just fucked, like it just went south for no reason at all, I probably, yeah, that's where I would have been a bit fucked up because I'm just like, damn, I worked so hard and now it's over. And honestly, we got pretty close to that as we were getting married, which is kind of crazy to think.
Yeah. Um. Let's move. Let's fast forward a bit to because that kind of all just went on for
Yeah, no,
a
that
year.
was
It
pretty
was just the
much,
same thing. It was a cycle.
yeah, it was that cycle that I'm talking about. Literally, shit happens, and then for the next, I'll say, I'll be generous. For the next week, it's just like days of tension, maybe a good day, still tension that like it was just a week long cycle of just the same shit for the next year after she got back visiting me one time.
Yeah. So it was rough first few months. Things got a little bit better before we got married, just because obviously, like, we weren't gonna get married or whatever, being in the situation that we were in before. So like, things got better. fast forward to me moving to Alaska, it kind of just started all over again
Yeah.
because now we're not long distance, we're married, and we're living with each other.
Yeah,
It
that was
was just
just
like a lot hitting us at once, and it just kind of went back to the very beginning.
yeah. And it was more so for you than it was for me because I tend to tell, family and friends this a lot that like you moving away from your family and friends to a whole other state across the country may as well be on the other side of the world, honestly. It's like the
Yeah.
very, very bottom of the United States, Florida, all the way to the top in Alaska. Like weather, seasonal depression, and you got there just as winter was starting to happen. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of stresses, a lot with what you said. Newlyweds. Now we're finally living together. This is the first amount of time that we spent excessively other than vacation. Like we had never spent time together physically. So yeah, no, it was a lot of stresses for you and yeah, no, you totally shut down and just the whole thing started all over.
Yeah. And it was worse now because now we're in person. So now I can yell at him. So now arguments would just kind of turn it, not like yelling, but we would raise our voices at each other compared to
Yeah.
before. It was just like over a phone call or worse over text. Like you can't really do much over that. But now that we're in person, I can use my voice a little bit. And that's just kind of where things would go down.
Yeah. I always think about that one argument we had about the fucking microwave.
The
Because
chicken nuggets?
yeah, I wanted chicken nuggets and you wanted me to make them quicker, so you wanted me to put them in the microwave. But I'm like, I want good quality, out the toaster oven nuggets. Like the difference of time is literally 2 minutes for better quality nuggets. And you just like you weren't having it. And apparently I was the antichrist for wanting to put my nuggets in the toaster oven as opposed to your request of the microwave. And then honestly, I don't even remember like I know that there was an underlying oh wait, I do know. Cuz that was another one of your stresses. You're new to the military life thing. So you didn't understand that my life is literally seeing my coworkers more than I will ever see you.
Yep.
I spend more time of my week at work, especially now.
Yeah.
Never mind in Alaska. Like, yeah, I worked my 8 hour shift, but now
I don't see
today,
this man until 5,
yeah,
basically.
now I'm working 8 hours on a good day. Normally, we're pushing more like 9 hours. On a bad day, it'll be a full 7 to 5, 10 hour shift. Um, she didn't understand that that's just how it is. That's what it's going to be, and there's nothing she could do about it. So obviously, when I got home, I'm looking for my nuggets, but she wanted to spend time. And before I got home, I texted her. I'm like, "Yo, come down to the kitchen so that we can spend time while I make my nuggets." But you were like, "No, I don't want to go downstairs." I'm like, "Okay, well then I'll be up in a minute." And you were like, "Can you put your nuggets in the microwave so it can be faster and then you can come upstairs and we'll spend time?" I'm like, "No, I want better quality nuggets. I'm putting them in the toaster oven. It's literally a 2 minute difference. We will survive." You were acting like the world was going to fucking end because of the fucking toaster oven. And honestly, I couldn't take this argument serious like at all. When I noticed that you started getting mad, I that's why I kept egging you on like, "Why are you making such a fuss about the toaster oven?" I knew what the problem was. You missed me. You wanted to spend time. But I kept egging you on because honestly, I found it hilarious that you were really bugging. Like this is what made you go off. A
That's what was just
microwave.
pissing me off more because you just kept asking questions. You wouldn't leave me alone.
Because you were being an idiot. Like,
Well, that's what pissed me off more. That's what made me just
no,
not want to talk to you anymore for the rest of the night. And that's what
uh,
happened.
yeah, no, it was so. And I remember when because you ended up storming out of the house, you got in your car, you drove wherever the fuck you drove off to. As you were walking out, you were saying something, but I started laughing. Like I put my hand over my mouth, and like as the garage door was closing, and you're like yelling at me from the garage, I'm like,
Wasn't that that was a different situation?
no, that was the one because you ended up storming out.
I don't think
You
that
did
was that
storm out on multiple
situation.
on multiple occasions
No,
when you first
yeah.
got to Alaska, but that one I remember the
I
whole
think I
thing.
just went downstairs.
No, I remember the whole thing
I don't remember
because I
leaving
stayed
because
downstairs
it
to
was
eat my
late.
nuggets. I stayed downstairs to eat my nuggets.
Yeah, but it was late.
No,
No,
because
you went
that
back upstairs because we were watching Big Brother. And I just stayed on my side of the bed the whole time and I didn't watch. And I didn't talk to you.
I do remember though specifically you saying it's not the fucking toaster oven, and then you stormed out into the garage and left. Like
I
that's a
don't
clear
remember
picture because
leaving.
I remember laughing as you were walking out. Because I'm like, the toaster oven. Oh no, that was so bad. It was hilarious. But yeah, no, you were just like you were getting used to. I don't think you understand or you understood. Well, one, like I said, you didn't understand the military life, but you also didn't understand the military wife, the spouse's role. Like,
Shit sucks sometimes, guys.
yeah, I hate to even like ever put you in that position to make you want to feel like it sucks, but it's just
I
like,
mean, it's what you sign up for.
yeah,
And just
yeah,
deal with
you
it.
if you didn't want to do it,
Yeah.
shouldn't have signed the dotted line.
It sucks, but that's just
Yeah,
something
no,
you have to
it
know going
there
into
was
it.
so many things that you just had to get adjusted to, understand, learn, and it just brought out all the worst parts of you because you didn't know what was happening. And yeah, when you started with the whole seasonal depression thing and you were just like dying or whatever, just every day in bed, you didn't want to do anything, quit school, like, hey, that was so ass.
Yeah, that was a rough time.
So ass. And like I'm saying, like, let's go to the gym, let's do this, let's do that, try to get you out of bed, and she was just not having it.
No. I like it wasn't even so much that it wasn't that I didn't want to go. Like my body just physically could not do anything. I was so out of it and like seasonal depression really hit me hard. And I physically could not get out of bed. Like
Yeah.
everything just felt like crap and I had absolutely no energy. Did not want to do anything. Like as there was like some nights where like I did want to go to the gym, I wanted to get up, but my I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't move.
And it doesn't help. It didn't help my my stance that I have on like mental health and depression. It's not that I don't think it's real. I just think that when you get to a point where it's your excuse for literally like existing, that's when I get to thinking it's ridiculous. And at to a point, you kind of did get like that. Like you said, you physically couldn't get out of bed. There was nothing that I could do or say that would get you out of bed. And that's the part where I started to get pissed and frustrated because I'm like, okay, I get it. Your life sucks. You hate everything. But there's no reason why you should just be laying there and acting like you're a fucking corpse. Like, at the very bare minimum, like I said, let's go to the gym. Like, do something. Put some effort into something.
Yeah.
That shit started to piss me off, man. Like, yeah, you can have your string of bad days. Like mental health and dealing with that kind of stuff is very real. But when you take it to those extremes where it's just your excuse for everything, oh, I can't because I'm depressed. I don't feel like it because I'm depressed. No, not today because I'm depressed.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
There were actually no, there were multiple times where you did
I
just
wouldn't
like
flat out say I'm depressed, I'm not going. It
no,
was
but
more of we had to talk about how I felt. You knew what I
well,
was dealing with at that time, so you just knew what was happening if I didn't want to get up.
yeah, no, I'm not saying that that's what you were. I'm saying like the people that are like that. That's what I hate. And you were doing that without actually saying it because you were a corpse on the bed.
Yeah, I could have moved.
But like you could though, you just weren't.
No, it's this is we're not going to get into this conversation because this can last the whole time, but it's not something you will ever understand.
I mean, no, because I don't know. I don't know what to call it. Honestly, I don't know if I'm like a strong or a weak person for not wanting to give into that stuff or like acknowledge it. And by that stuff, I'm talking again about the extremes. Don't come around here try to cancel me because I say that depression is fake and all this. It's bullshit. No, it's real. I just don't think those extremes and like when people get, you know, way too like ugh, that stuff disgusts me because at that point, like, just go away. Like, what are you doing? Stop. That's why.
Yeah, that's what
Oh
you want to
god.
hear.
That's why I got mad at you because at you were do it was just too much for me. It was too much. Like I understood it to a certain point, and that's why we were able to have some conversations. But for my personal liking and for my stance on it, it was too much. But I tried to give you my best, and eventually we got through it. So at least we did that.
Hmm. Anyways, let's go back to the
Oh
stuff
yeah, our relationship.
that we should be talking about here. Um, those first few months happened of me moving to Alaska, and like I said, it was all just the same
Bullshit.
cycle as before. You know, the trust issues, the arguing, the because now I could actually yell at you, and now I can storm and leave, which I did, and it was just a lot. It was like
Yeah,
an extent of what
I
was
really
happening before.
really got a taste of that Latina spice finally.
Yeah, yeah.
Mexicano,
I was.
Mexicana. You
Thank
do
you.
not have a wiener.
No, I do not. Um, yeah. So those first few months were rough. It was the same thing, um, and then it started getting better. I started learning as much as I didn't want to, or like it was just hard to like finally get me to that spot of like, all right, like put your shit, put your ego to the side, and just talk normally. Stop freaking out about stupid things that just like aren't even happening, and just move on with your life. Because at the end of the day, this is, and I can say these things now because I went through all the toxic things. I was in a really bad mental state, and I came in to a relationship not knowing how to do things healthy in the slightest. But I had the support. He was very patient. He, as much as he didn't want to deal with it and probably wanted to rip my head off like 100% of the
I wanted
times,
to do them. I want to do more than rip your head off.
he was still
Fucking
there. He
hell.
was supportive. He would, talk me through certain things, and we did have those conversations of like, hey, this can't be happening. Like, I know what you went through before, but we're in a marriage. Like this isn't something that we're just going to keep on dealing with just because of your past. And at that point, that was just like,
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
yeah,
Well,
we
like
had a
we
few conversations about
sometimes
it.
even leading up to us getting married, and then sometimes even after we got married, somehow because by that point we're a year and a half, like 2 years into our relationship. I remember having to be like, how the fuck 2 years later are we still dealing with the relationship prior? That was oof.
Yeah. So
I hated that.
there was a few conversations about that we had talked about before us getting engaged, and then after I had moved to Alaska, and more towards the end of like those really rough few months of us living together, that's kind of where we just sat down and we are like, something needs to get fixed. You got to
Yeah.
do something. I don't know what it is, but you need to figure out something. So eventually, it did take some time. It was something that like I
I
had to do
remember.
over time. It wasn't like a switch that I was just like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm healthy. Let's do it. It was more of something would happen or an argument would happen, and it would be more of like, I'd obviously be mad and I would express it, but I would kind of know how to control it a little bit better. Or it became more of a, it caused another issue, but it became more of me just tuning things out and me going silent and not wanting to talk about anything.
Yeah.
So then,
And then you started to infect me with that dumbass disease too, because I'm more of a talker. And then
yeah.
for some reason, we just both started. I started going quiet because you started going quiet. Like things you were
So it's
doing
like
affected
the
me.
yelling was done, the toxic arguments were done, but now nobody's talking.
Yeah.
So we're still not really making progress, but it took some time for sure. I think it wasn't up until probably like, what, a year ago that I was finally at like a solid place of like knowing how to sit down and have a conversation.
Oh, how long were you even in Alaska? A year and a half, right?
No, I was there for almost 2.5
Mm,
or almost two.
mm,
I was
no,
there for two.
because by the time you moved to Alaska, I was already at
I was there in
1.5
August,
years.
or not August. I was there in July.
Yeah. No, you were only there a year and a half because you got there in the middle of my time in Alaska. I did 3. I did a year and a half before you ever got or moved there.
Sure.
Yeah. I forgot where I was supposed to be leading with that question.
You're useless. Um, what were you saying? Oh, so yeah, it took a few months, took a year basically, or like half a year of us living together until we finally got to a spot of where we can like sit down and have a civil conversation, and to where arguments weren't arguments. It was more of a disagreement that happened for like 30 minutes, talk about it, okay, move on.
Yeah. I'm still trying to work out the timetable, but yeah, I would say 6, maybe 8 months
It was
after
definitely
you moved
more
to
of
Alaska
a,
that we were dealing with it. Because winter lasts forever. So we were just going through it the whole winter. So I think it was probably closer to a year. Yeah. That we were finally able to like get to a good standing with communication.
yeah.
Because, yeah, no, we started up with your whole weird let's not talk forever cycle again when you first got there. Then we got to the new cycle of just not talking. Like, we'd have the conflict, but we would try to resolve it, except there was no talking in the in the resolution. And then yeah, we ended up working our way back to words.
Yeah. It was, it's really all about like, especially in a marriage. At the end of the day, you're married to this person. So when it came to the trust issues, it was like, why why are you going to be married if you think the man's cheating on you? If he's cheating, then that's a different problem. But like the trust issues
You
and
should
like
tell
the
yourself that
fighting in
6
your
months
head,
into our marriage.
well, that's why I'm saying now. Like I'm able to see what the problem is now, and I know how to set things aside and actually explain it to people, because that is always going to be an issue in majority of relationships, and that's just a common thing. The whole trust issues thing, people not fully trusting their partner or whatever, that's just always something that happens. So
Stupid.
when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's really just like, if you want to be with this person and this person wants to be with you, you got to just like, you have to let it go. And if shit happens, if somebody's cheating, if somebody's doing something wrong, then you leave, move on. It wasn't meant to happen. Like, you can't just sit there and constantly think that shit's happening behind your back and causing arguments and hurting your relationship really over nothing. And if something's happening, then it is what it is. Like, it's just not something worth to be sitting there hurting yourself and hurting the relationship over. So that was the whole trust issue thing that I think that was the biggest thing to get over, aside from the
Yeah.
like communication. That didn't take as long to like figure out,
Yeah,
of just being able to sit there and really just talk to the person.
once you're able to get over that hump again of the, or not even again, because you never really got over the trust thing
No,
until
that
we were
was,
finally able to hash it out in Alaska. Um,
yeah, that was quite an argument.
yeah,
There were a few leading up to that point, but then it finally got to a certain point where it was like, it's this needs to stop, or other things are gonna
yeah,
stop.
no, I remember telling her, I'm like, dude, or I didn't say dude, but I'm like,
Sup, bro?
come on, like we're married now. What trust issues could you possibly have? I literally go to work. You have my location. I'm here. I'm at work. I'm here. I'm at work. Like there's nowhere I
This
could.
problem was that there is another female that I just wasn't a fan of, who was also in Alaska. Not that he
Yeah,
worked
she
with,
was.
but she was
I didn't
in
even work with
the
her. Like that.
she
That's
was in
how
the area.
crazy she was being. Like just because she was in the same fucking area code. Like, oh yeah, the trust issues thing. I
It's only because of previous history. Anyways, that was what caused the whole thing. Is that this girl was from a previous time that we weren't together at that point. But
yeah,
she was there in Alaska, so then in my head I'm like, "Oh, well, that happened before. Now she's in Alaska. Great."
yeah,
So I was just in a weird spot
yeah.
with
No,
that. Yeah, I
like
wasn't a fan of it.
she was convinced that all these things happened with this one girl before we even like this is the kicker. Before we even started dating, she was still with her ex at the time, and I was doing my own thing, which was not much at all, by the way, because I was so hung up on her. And yet, because this girl just happened to be in the same state,
Just like, out of all states, man, you had to end up in freaking Alaska.
like no, it's like when she tried to accuse me of cheating when I was trying to be at Lennon's wedding that miserably failed. Delusion. She was just making shit up. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
so
that whole thing,
that was
I
a
was just
cause
like,
for a few arguments, and then it finally got to
yeah,
a point.
I just had to break it down in the most simple terms possible. We are married. If this is still a problem, goodbye. That's as simple as I can put it. There, like, there's no reason. There's no reason to have dealt with that. But no, yeah, dealing with the whole communication thing was just as simple as needing to be in front of each other. Um, but aside from the trust issues thing, we were still just having those initial adjustments to just like first living together and stuff, and things like the microwave incident and like all these other things that are smaller and that can happen at any given time on a daily basis. I remember getting to a point, it might have honestly been after the microwave thing. I'm not entirely, I don't really remember exactly, but it was after one of those big arguments that I got on the phone with your mom because you had left. You just like drove off in your car. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna call her mom. I'm a tattletale. And
Yep, he's done it a few times.
yeah,
He just loves to go rat on me.
yeah, screw you. Uh, I remember this is like a piece of advice that I will still use. I will tell anybody this every day. She told me specifically, pick your battles. That's kind of one of those things. Like for me, I had always known, and like we've said multiple times already, I'm not a drama person. I don't care for drama. I don't like it in my life. But hearing that from her kind of made it click on like a different level.
Yeah, because
Or
she knows how I am and how I can get.
yeah, so like I knew it in a general sense, but for some reason when I heard it from her mom to pick your battles, it kind of helped me click with her specifically. Cuz while she was going through her own things and like she was starting up a lot of shit, I definitely did like in the microwave thing when I was like laughing and stuff. Like there's things that I could do and say that would prevent arguments as well. Like I definitely had my moments where, I would kind of egg her on or antagonize or whatever. Excuse me. But yeah, as soon as I heard that, the soonest chance I got to relay that information to her, I think that's when it also clicked for her to just kind of like sometimes it's best to just shut the fuck up. Like sometimes it's
Yeah,
not even worth it, so just shut up.
and during their like that little transition from like being stupid and then finally getting to like learning how to do things the correct way. In between that time, there were a few times where like things would come up and I would think of what I want to say in my head. Like in my head, I'm like, this is an argument. I want to do something. I want to get mad. But then I'd be like, shut the hell up, swallow it, and just sit there and sit pretty and move on with your life. Like there's
Yeah.
just some things that aren't
It's just not
they're
worth the
not worth it at
time.
all. Like
It's not worth the time.
you're
Like,
like I said earlier with the whole trust thing, you causing all these stupid arguments and letting all these things in your head get to you is hurting yourself and your relationship more than anything. And at that point, like, why are you going to be with this person? Why are you going to be married to this person if that's something that you're going to allow yourself to do? Like, it just can't get to that point, and there's no need for it to get to that point. So, having these small little arguments is just like taking time away that you guys can be spending time with each other, doing something, talking about literally anything else, and just moving on. Like, you don't need to sit there and dwell on something that isn't even anything serious. Like, if it's not a serious topic, there's no reason to be sitting there causing a situation about it.
yeah,
And if there is something serious, then sit down, have a conversation. You don't need to cause an argument or, sit in another room getting all pissy about it. Like, bring it up. Just have the conversation. It's literally going to take like 15 minutes probably, and then you can move on with your lives. Like, at some point, I finally realized, like, this is so stupid. Like, wasting so much time over nothing.
yeah,
And as much as like I would complain that we wouldn't spend as much time with each other as I wanted to, or like we're not doing things that I want, those stupid little arguments would cause the whole night to be thrown away. And that's just time that you lose with a person
yeah,
because you want to sit there, you want to be pissy, you want to say all these things and cause an argument over what? Over literally nothing, and the whole night or day is just ruined. There are some points where it's just the whole day is ruined, or the whole next 2 or 3 days are ruined. For what? Like, it's not that serious. Now you just, lost those few days with the person that you could have been spending time with, and it's just not worth it at all.
yeah. Well said. I,
And that's coming
it,
from somebody who was so freaking toxic. Like,
yeah,
all I ever knew was to argue, and that's all I ever wanted to do. But at
yeah,
some point, you just gotta grow up.
yeah. I always
Really,
tell people
that's what it
this.
is.
I used to tell her this a lot, and I tell people this now. Um, it's just better to be like happy. Like I don't
Yeah,
again,
that's
I
truly
don't
all it
like
is.
yeah, I don't like drama in my life. I'll say it a million times. Drama sucks. Drama is stupid. Like why? Like just be happy. Do your best to make things work and more than anything, be proactive. So when it comes to, oh, we had a little disagreement earlier, don't just like sit on it because this is something I had to like try to teach her, I guess, in that initial like storm phase of our relationship in the first year that we were together is when you have a problem, bring it up. Don't sit on
Yeah.
it. Don't dwell on it. Like, let's hash this out before things start to pile up. And then now you're just sitting there like, I fucking hate this person because X, Y, Z, one, two, three reasons. When you could have just stopped at reason one, talked about it, and then, whether other problems come along or not is a whole other thing. But like, hash things out when they happen. Make your life a lot easier and happier. Don't just because then you're just gonna ruin things. Because she had the tendency to pile things up, and then when shit finally popped off, it's
It would be a whole
like where
thing.
was this a week ago when that happened? Like, come on, man. There were so many things wrong with how she, I guess, behaved and the way she processed things and did things. I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
we can tell how unprepared I was. Like I wasn't privy. I didn't know that these things were going to be the way that they were because she, I don't know, never showed me those signs in the first 6 months that we were together.
I tricked you.
I believed again. I believed that she was going to be, caught up to speed with everything I've told her when we started dating. But yeah, no. Um, we've definitely from the very beginning to now come a super duper long way. We actually made a video similar to this that we're talking about right now not too long ago. It got a good
Yeah.
number of views. That we've come a long way. We have gone from that cycle of not talking to a week, being good, not talking for a week, to now where it's just like, what's your fucking problem? Oh, well, you did this, you said this. All right, my bad. Fuck you. No, we don't say that. But like we're quick to
Not at
have.
all. And even then, I don't remember the last time that something really
Yeah,
happened.
no. Now we've gotten
Things
to
just
a
like don't happen anymore.
yeah. Now we've gotten to a point where it's just like we've been able to hash most problems out that we've been almost so proactive that now like things that could happen in the future are just like not going to happen because we already know not to do it. I don't know if that made much sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's so easy to brush off now. It's like something will come up for a bit and then it's like, okay, talk about it for like less than 5 minutes and then we're on with our lives
Yeah.
as if nothing
Disregard
really
everything I
happens.
just said. I'm thinking about the way I just said that and that was fucking stupid. Basically, yeah, just deal with it on the spot. Don't don't hold on to your grudges and build things up. Oh wait, that's what I was going to say. Is that when I make you look stupid, that's when your feelings are going to get hurt. And then that's just going to turn into a whole other argument because that did happen with us a few times. We're just like, well, now you're just doing too much and whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, that's your fault for being an idiot in the first place. Oh,
Yeah.
guys, honestly, as frustrating as it was to deal with her just endless toxicity and like idiocy, it was quite fun because in most arguments, I was never wrong. You were just delusional and crazy and toxic. So all I had to do was just sit there and like kind of sit pretty in my high and mighty position because like I know I'm not wrong. So it was as
Mm-hmm.
frustrating and annoying as it was. I did like that because you're an idiot. I'm talking to an idiot.
I'm glad you had some fun out of it.
Oh, I had to have some fun because none of it was fun.
Yeah.
I had to, and you know how I am. Whenever things are like serious or like uncomfortable and whatever, I need to find a reason to make myself feel better by laughing or feeling happy in some way. That was the only way I could feel happy with you at times is knowing that you're an idiot.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, we've gone through a lot, but now we're here and
Yes,
we're
now you're not an idiot, and I'm
better than
happy.
ever. Yes.
We're happy. We're in a very good place. Like we said earlier, we are not perfect. We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but
We're close to it.
we're good. We're happy, and that's honestly the best thing you can ask for is happiness, peace, being on the same page most of the time. And yeah, good shit. Pew. Pound town. That's not
Oh, that's something else.
fist bump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Anywho's, that is our journey of, or my journey, or no, it is our journey.
Yes,
My
our
journey
journey.
of going from or learning how to come out of a toxic and healthy relationship, and his journey of learning how to deal with such a person.
Yeah. So basically, if you are in, we'll say the younger age group, our age or maybe slightly under us, late high school kids or early college, and you're dealing with toxic relationships or you're trying to make a good run at a serious one, hopefully you were able to take some stuff out of anything we've said, because I believe we said some pretty good stuff. Namely, I think the best thing of anything for any relationship, no matter the age, pick your battles. Thanks
Yeah.
to Viannei's mom that gave me that bit of advice. Pick your battles. That's probably one of the most important and useful things that either of us and you listening or watching can use on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Um, if you're in an older age group, I'm not sure that most of this. Well, I mean,
You
hey,
never
shit
know.
happens with any age of
You
relationship.
never
So you know
know.
what? Maybe you can listen to us. Yeah. If you have any other questions, uh, as far as relationship, maybe you're looking for some advice going forward. Maybe drop them in the comments or uh, our social medias or somewhere on our YouTube page. I don't know about the Spotify.
And yeah, I was gonna say for those listening, there is a Q&A at the end of every podcast. If you just click on specific episodes, the Q&A does come up if you have any questions.
Ah,
So
yes,
you can type some things in
yeah.
there if
I'd
you're
be
strictly on Spotify.
I'd be open to continuing the relationship conversations and
That was really
answering
what
questions.
made me want to start this podcast to begin with anyways, just because we have so much to talk about when it comes to relationships.
Yeah,
So,
we do have two very different uh backgrounds and perspectives on relationships because, as we've described throughout this podcast, she's known, lived, breathed the toxic mindset. She understands it. I know nothing but trying to be the best healthy version of myself and a relationship. So even now that we're in a happy and on the same page marriage, we can still have different perspectives. And I think that's very useful.
yeah, it's just learning how to communicate it and just learning how to change things, but still, getting the best out of both sides.
Yeah. So if you guys have any of those questions for us, let us know. We'll try our best to answer them. Maybe offer you what you're looking for.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, tune into our last video of me cutting his hair if you haven't
It's
already.
hilarious. I haven't edited it yet as of right now, but it is
It
hilarious.
is funny.
Yeah,
You can go watch me terribly screw up his hair. I'm just kidding. I
it's
did a
good.
good job for what I had. Um, yeah, subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already, and follow our Spotify podcast thingamabobber. Yes, you can follow. I was trying to remember what the term is, if it's
Is it?
following or
I don't know how to. I don't have
subscribing or what
Spotify.
it
I don't
is,
know.
but it is following. So if you would like to keep up with our episodes, they come out every Friday. Go ahead and follow our podcast, and we will see you in the next one.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Alrighty.